Okay, when we first start turning, we have to find a way to make the tree a usable size, and the best way to trim a piece of tree down is to use a chainsaw. So I'm going to use a chainsaw and talk about getting a wood blank out of a piece of tree. So the first thing we're going to do is find a place to hold the piece of wood so that it's not going to jump around. Being out in a wood pile out in the yard, down on the ground or on your knees is not comfortable. So I want to get it up at a waist height, and these workmate type tables are a great little aid to do that. In this case, I'm going to do it inside the shop with an electric chainsaw, but even outside, you need some place that's going to keep the wood in a stable position. Some people make these, elaborate apparatus with clamps and whatnot to hold the wood, but I found just the channel in the workmate works very well for what I want to do. First thing I need to do is I need to trim the ends up so that I can see what's going on. This was cut quite a while ago, and it's discolored and it's hard to see the grain character, so I'm going to just trim these ends off. Most important thing about the chainsaw is that you have the chainsaw itself against the wood when you start. If I start out here, the chain's going to grab and pull me in, so I want to start with the carcass of the chainsaw against the wood and then just get down into it. If you can see, there's a little bit of a crack around the pith. That's natural. There's always some instability around the pith. What I want to do is make the first chainsaw cut so that the pith is in the middle of the blank when I get done. So if I would take the tree cut like this, the pith is not in the middle. If you see here, there's 10 inches and 6 inches where the pith is in the middle. Let me put a circle around here so we can really see where it's at. Okay, so now the pith is in the middle. I got 4 inches on this side and 6 inches on this side. So I got to find the spot where I've got 10 inches in diameter. Be right about here. I got to get on the bark line. So it'd be about, there we go. Now we're finding it. All right. So there's 10 inches and I'm at 5, right? So now if I make my chainsaw cut there, then the pith now is in the middle of both. I've got a big piece and a little piece, but the pith is in the middle. I've already started to design my bowl or my vessel so that the balanced grain is going to be more pleasing than an unbalanced grain. And I'm going to make my chainsaw cut right down through the middle. I just want to make sure that I don't hit the chainsaw on the framework. One of the things here, if you notice, I'm going into the side of the tree with my chainsaw. It's always easier to go into the side of the tree, even with my bowl gouge or cutting on the lathe. The same rules apply. I'm not going to fight with the wood. I'm going to hang onto the chainsaw and just go right on through and stop. When I get the chain down deep into the wood, I'm going to set the carcass of the chainsaw right down on the table, and now I'm going to tilt it into the cut and let the chain go right between the two beds of the workmate. And now I have to ignore the wood. Forget about the wood. Don't worry about the wood. It could fall on the floor. It could want to go in between the bed. It could move in any direction, but I'm hanging onto the saw. I'm on the handle of the saw, so the saw can't cut anything or get in any danger until the chain comes to a stop. then move the saw away. Let the wood fall on the floor, do whatever it is. And don't, at this time, don't let any helper come and try to hold the wood. Just keep everybody else away, because you have the chainsaw in your hands and the chain is not in any danger of hitting anything or anybody. Okay, a lot of people would try to get these round on the bandsaw, and I don't believe that's a good plan. The bandsaw is not designed to do thick wood. It's not designed to cut wet wood. And so unless you've got this big hunkin' $5,000 bandsaw, it's really not a good plan to use a bandsaw. So I'm going to take this piece of wood just like this right on the lathe, and we're going to turn it around. And unless this is a very freshly cut piece of wood, the bark is usually unstable and can come off and hit you in the face. So we could take a hammer and chisel, and we could work our way down and try to get the bark off. But you know, there's always a bigger tool. So I'm going to take an air hammer. Okay, they use it in body shops. And it's just got a cold chisel, a relatively blunt chisel. And we'll just work our way down the bark, get the bark off real quick. See how easy that comes off? There are little critters under there that have loosened the bark already. This tree had been dead standing for quite a while. Okay, so sometimes simple tools like this would do a better job than fighting with it by hand.